I want to share something with you today that honestly changed everything for me when I finally understood it, and I really believe it's going to help you too. We're going to talk about the ways a woman's body speaks to you even when her mouth stays quiet. And these are things she absolutely cannot fake, no matter how hard she tries. I know that sounds almost too good to be true, but stick with me here because what I'm about to share with you is based on real science and real human behavior. And I promise by the end of our time together today, you're going to see the world of attraction in a completely different light. Let me ask you something real quick. Have you ever been in that situation where you're talking to a woman and you just cannot figure out if she's interested in you or if she's just being polite? Maybe you've laid awake at night replaying a conversation in your head, trying to decode every smile, every laugh, every little gesture, wondering if it meant something more or if you were just reading too much into things. God, I think we've all been there at some point, haven't we? That feeling of uncertainty can be absolutely maddening because nobody wants to put themselves out there and risk embarrassment or rejection. Those feelings hurt deeply, and our hearts naturally want to protect us from that pain. But here's what I've discovered, and this is really exciting. Our bodies are terrible liars. Even when we're trying our absolute best to play it cool and not show our feelings, our bodies betray us in the most beautiful ways. When a woman feels that spark of attraction, her body responds in ways that are completely automatic and natural. She might not even realize she's doing these things, but they happen anyway, because attraction is something that goes way deeper than our conscious thoughts. It's primal, it's instinctive, and it's written all over us if you know what to look for. Learning to read these signals is honestly like being given a superpower. Suddenly, all that confusion and second guessing starts to melt away, and you can actually see clearly how someone feels about you just by paying attention to how they move, how they position themselves, and what their body does when you're around. The whole dating world stops feeling like this big mystery that you'll never solve, and it starts feeling manageable, even fun. Things that used to keep you up at night suddenly become crystal clear. And let me tell you, that confidence you'll feel when you finally understand what's really going on is absolutely priceless. Now, before we dive into the specific signs I want to share with you, I need to address something that might be bothering you right now. You might be thinking, isn't reading body language kind of manipulative? Isn't this like playing mind games? And I'm so glad you're thinking about that because it means you have a good heart. But let me put your mind at ease. What we're talking about here isn't manipulation at all. This isn't about tricking anyone or being sneaky or using psychological tactics to get someone to like you. That kind of approach never works in the long run anyway, and it's not who we are. What reading body language really means is simply opening your eyes to signals that are already there. These aren't things women do on purpose to send you coded messages. These are natural, automatic responses that happen when attraction is present. Most of the time, she doesn't even know she's doing them. I remember when I first learned about some of these signs years ago, I was absolutely shocked because I realized I had been doing them my entire life without having any clue. It's just how we're wired as human beings, and there's something really beautiful about that when you think about it. All right, so let's get into the actual signs, and I'm telling you right now, some of these are going to surprise you, especially the last one, which makes me laugh every single time because it's just so perfectly human and quirky. So please, do me a favor and stick around until the very end because you definitely don't want to miss it. The first thing I want you to pay attention to is her hips. I know that might sound a little forward, but hear me out. When a woman is attracted to someone, there's this deep biological instinct that kicks in to emphasize femininity and highlight the physical differences between men and women. It's not a conscious thing at all. She's not standing there thinking, okay, now I'm going to walk differently to get his attention. It just happens naturally, almost like breathing. What you'll notice is that when she's around you, her walk might change. There might be a little more sway, a little more movement in her hips. Picture this scenario. A woman is walking through the grocery store, totally focused on her shopping list, thinking about what she needs to cook for dinner, completely in her own world. Then she spots a guy she finds attractive, and suddenly, without even deciding to do it, her whole body language shifts. Her posture straightens up a bit, and yes, her hips start moving more. It's almost funny how automatic it is, but it's absolutely real. I can tell you from personal experience that this happens because I've caught myself doing it. You don't plan it, you don't rehearse it, it just happens when you're around someone who catches your interest. So if you notice that shift in how she moves when you're nearby, that's a really strong indicator that she likes what she sees. Now, the next sign is something that sounds kind of random until you understand the meaning behind it. And then it makes perfect sense. Watch her wrists. I know, that sounds super specific and maybe even a little weird, but this is actually a well-documented sign of attraction and comfort. When a woman feels safe and attracted to someone, she'll often display her wrists toward that person in various subtle ways. She might rest her chin on her hand with her wrist turned in your direction. She might sit with her wrists relaxed and facing toward you. She might gesture more with open wrists rather than closed fists. This behavior comes from a very deep place because the wrist is actually a vulnerable part of the body, and showing it signals trust and openness. In the animal kingdom, exposing vulnerable areas is a sign of submission and trust. And even though we're much more complex than that, those ancient instincts still influence our behavior in subtle ways. Once you start watching for this, you'll be amazed at how often you see it. Women do this constantly around men they're interested in, and they usually have no idea they're doing it. It's just one of those beautiful little quirks of human attraction that happens below the level of conscious awareness. Here's another one you've probably seen in movies 1,000 times, but maybe never really thought about. The over-the-shoulder look. You know the one I'm talking about. She's walking away or turned to the side, and she glances back at you over her shoulder, maybe with a little smile or a playful comment. This move is classic, and it's used in films all the time because it's such a universally recognized signal of flirtation and interest. What's happening here is similar to the hip movement. She's positioning her body in a way that emphasizes her feminine shape and catches your attention. That curve of the back, the angle of the shoulders, the playful nature of looking back, it all combines to create this moment of connection that's charged with possibility. When a woman does this in real life, she's not just being randomly playful. She wants you to notice her. She wants your attention, and she's enjoying the interaction. Actually, here's a little exercise that might help you get better at spotting these signs. Watch some romantic movies or TV shows and pay attention to the body language of the female characters when they're supposed to be attracted to someone. Actors are trained to use their bodies expressively, and directors choose specific movements to convey attraction and interest. Since you already know from the plot who likes who, you can clearly see these signals in action without the uncertainty of real life. Then start looking for those same behaviors when you're out in the world, and you'll be surprised how much you've been missing. Okay, here's a sign that makes a lot of people go, aha, when they hear it, because suddenly so many past interactions make sense. If she licks her lips around you, that's significant. Now, most people hear this and immediately think it means she's thinking about kissing you. And you know what? She very well might be. If she finds you attractive, the thought of kissing you has probably crossed her mind at least once. But there's also a physiological reason this happens that has nothing to do with conscious thought. When we feel nervous or excited around someone we're attracted to, our bodies go into a mild stress response. You know that feeling, the butterflies in your stomach, the slight quickening of your heartbeat, maybe your palms get a tiny bit sweaty. Well, one side effect of this response is that your mouth can actually get a little dry. So she might be licking her lips simply because being near you makes her nervous and excited, and her mouth feels dry as a result. Either way, whether it's anticipation of a kiss or just a physical response to attraction, it's a very positive sign. Of course, I always want to remind you to consider context. If it's the middle of summer and she's been outside in the heat, she might just be thirsty. If she just finished eating something salty, same thing. This is why you never want to rely on just one signal. Human beings are complex, and there are always exceptions to every rule. You want to look for clusters of behavior, multiple signs happening together, before you draw any strong conclusions. Think about it this way. If someone has their arms crossed, conventional wisdom says they're closed off or defensive. But they might just be cold, or it might just be a comfortable position for them in that moment. However, if their arms are crossed, and they're leaning away from you, and they're giving short answers, and they're not making eye contact, then yeah, they're probably not feeling the interaction. Body language is most accurate when you look at the whole picture, not just individual pieces. So if you notice her licking her lips, and you've seen her hips sway when she walks near you, and she's given you that over-the-shoulder look, well, now you're getting somewhere. Now you can be pretty confident that something real is happening. Let's talk about how she positions her legs, because this is another big one. When a woman crosses her legs, especially if she does it right as you approach or sit down near her, pay attention. Now, she might cross her legs just because it's comfortable or because she always sits that way, but there's often more to it than that. Crossing legs is generally considered an attractive feminine pose, and most women know this on some level. It's elegant, it's graceful, and it does nice things for the shape of the legs. If she crosses her legs right when she sees you or when you start talking to her, there's a very good chance she's positioning herself to look her best for you. She wants you to notice her, to see her in an attractive light. This is especially telling if her posture changes when you arrive. If her legs were uncrossed and she crosses them as you approach, that shift is meaningful. She's adjusting her presentation for you specifically. Now, I know that all of this might feel a little overwhelming if you've never really thought about body language before, especially if women in general feel like a mystery to you. And that's completely okay. Men and women are different in a lot of ways, and those differences can create confusion and miscommunication. But imagine how much easier and more enjoyable your dating life would be if you really understood how women think, what makes them feel attracted, and what they're looking for in a partner. The truth is, we're all looking for basically the same things at the core. We want to be loved, understood, appreciated, and valued. We want genuine connection. The specific ways we go about seeking those things might differ, but the fundamental human needs are the same. Understanding these differences doesn't have to be complicated, and it definitely doesn't require you to change who you are or pretend to be someone you're not. It's just about opening your eyes to what's really happening in your interactions. All right, here's a sign that might seem a little strange at first, but once you understand the psychology behind it, it makes total sense. Pay attention to where she places her purse or bag. Women are extremely protective of their purses. Think about it. A purse contains all of our personal items, our phone, our wallet, our keys, sometimes very private things. It's like a little portable piece of our personal space that we carry with us everywhere. Because of this, women are naturally cautious about where they set their purse and who gets to be near it. We don't put our purse down just anywhere, and we certainly don't put it close to people we don't trust. So if you're talking to a woman and she sets her purse down right next to you, or between the two of you, or in a position where you could easily access it, that is a huge sign of trust and comfort. She's allowing you into her personal space in a very literal way. She feels safe with you. She's not worried that you're a threat or that she needs to keep her guard up. This might seem like a small thing, but it's actually incredibly significant because it happens on such a subconscious level. She's not thinking, I trust this guy, so I'll put my purse near him. She just does it because she feels comfortable, and that comfort comes from genuine, positive feelings. On the flip side, if a woman keeps her purse on the far side of her chair, away from you, or if she keeps it on her lap clutched close to her body, that's a pretty clear sign that she's not entirely comfortable yet. She might still be evaluating the situation, or she might have decided you're not someone she wants to open up to. Context matters here too, of course. If you're in a crowded place where theft is a concern, she might just be being cautious in general. But in a normal social situation, purse placement can tell you a lot. Now we're getting to my absolute favorite sign, the one I mentioned at the beginning that makes me giggle every time because it's just so wonderfully, perfectly human and completely unconscious. Are you ready for this? The limp wrist phenomenon. Yes, I'm serious. This is actually a real thing that has been studied and documented. And once you know about it, you'll start seeing it everywhere. Here's what happens. When a woman is around a man she's really attracted to, her wrists will sometimes just go sort of soft and limp. Not in a medical way, obviously, but in this very feminine, relaxed, almost delicate way. Her hands might seem more graceful, her wrists more flexible and soft in her gestures. This is a completely involuntary response that emphasizes the contrast between masculine and feminine energy. It's like her body is saying, I feel safe enough around you to be soft. I don't need to be strong and guarded right now. It highlights femininity in contrast to masculinity, and it happens without any conscious thought. I've watched strong, capable, independent women do this when they're around someone they're interested in. And it's not because they're trying to seem weak or helpless. It's just a natural physiological response to attraction. When I first learned about this, I started paying attention to my own behavior. And sure enough, I caught myself doing it. My wrists would just get more relaxed and loose when I was talking to someone I found attractive, and I had absolutely no idea I was doing it until someone pointed it out. It's one of those beautiful little quirks of human nature that reminds us we're not nearly as in control of ourselves as we like to think we are. So now you know 7 powerful signs that a woman is into you, and I want to make sure you walk away from this with a clear understanding of how to use this information wisely. First, and most importantly, always look at the context of the situation. One sign by itself might not mean much. Maybe she just has naturally loose wrists, or maybe it really is just hot outside and she's licking her lips because she's thirsty. You want to look for clusters of behavior, multiple signs happening together. If you see 3, 4, 5 of these things happening in the same interaction, then you can be very confident that she's feeling attracted to you. That's when you know it's real and not just a coincidence or a misreading of the situation. Human behavior is complex, and we have to be thoughtful and observant, not jumping to conclusions based on a single gesture. Second, and this is crucial, when you do recognize these signs and you realize that a woman is genuinely interested in you, that's your cue to step up and make a move. Being able to read attraction is wonderful and valuable, but it doesn't mean much if you don't do anything with that information. Women want to see confidence and leadership. They want someone who can recognize interest and respond to it appropriately. That doesn't mean you have to be aggressive or pushy, but it does mean you should be willing to move the interaction forward, to ask for her number, to suggest getting coffee, to show that you're interested too. There's something really important I want you to understand about this whole topic. Learning to read body language and recognize when someone is attracted to you isn't about gaining power over anyone or trying to manipulate situations. It's about reducing uncertainty and building genuine connections. When you can see clearly that someone is interested, you feel more confident. And when you feel more confident, you show up as a better version of yourself. You're more relaxed, more authentic, more present in the moment. And that's when real connection happens. I really hope that what I've shared with you today helps you see your interactions with women in a new light. These signals are happening all around you all the time, and now you have the awareness to notice them and understand what they mean. You don't have to guess anymore. You don't have to lie awake wondering if she likes you. You can simply pay attention to what her body is already telling you loud and clear. Before I let you go, I want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for spending this time with me today. If you made it all the way to the end here, you're exactly the kind of person I love connecting with. Someone who's genuinely interested in understanding people better and building real relationships. Since I'm feeling particularly happy today and I'm wearing this bright pink shirt that just makes me smile every time I look down at it, let's make hot pink our little secret code for today. It's just a fun way for those of us who really connect with this content to recognize each other. And listen, if you found this helpful, I promise you there's so much more where this came from. Understanding body language is just one piece of of the puzzle. There's also what women actually say, the words they choose, the way they phrase things, the questions they ask. All of that carries meaning too. And when you combine verbal and nonverbal communication, you get this complete picture of what's really happening in any interaction. I'd love to share more with you about that because words and body language together tell the whole story. The most important thing I want you to remember is that you deserve love and connection just as much as anyone else. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be someone you're not. You just have to be genuine and pay attention to what's really happening around you. Women are not as mysterious as you might think. We're human beings with the same basic needs and desires as everyone else. And when we like someone, our bodies show it in these beautiful, natural ways. So go out there with this new awareness. Watch for these signs. Notice when they happen. And when you see them, when you recognize that genuine interest, have the courage to respond to it. That's where the magic really happens. In that space where two people recognize the spark between them and decide to explore it together. Thank you again for being here with me. I'm Amelia, and I cannot wait to connect with you again soon. You take care of yourself, and I'll see you next time.